Hey there, so I just want to make a quick video for you guys in regards to training updates. So when most of you come to me, you haven't followed a structured training program. So when I initially create your base program, we're going off of what I just know to be good to provide you, progress. As you progress along, you all know that I don't often change routines up frequently. I usually keep exercise selection pretty consistent. I'll change the volume a little bit by adjusting sets and reps and adding intensity techniques like drop sets or myo reps and things like that. But overall, I mean, your basis, squats, lunges, deadlifts, shoulder presses, curls, flies, all of that stuff is just basically the same. Now, as you advance along, and I update your training programs, you begin to see a little notation on your training programs that says variation of choice, or I might list a couple recommendations. Now, let's say you choose, I'm going to start with a shoulder press. So let's say the first exercise on your shoulder press or on your shoulder day or your pressing day or your pushing day, depending on how I've labeled it, is a shoulder press. Now, you can do a military shoulder press with a barbell in front of your head. You could do it behind your head. You could do a shoulder press machine. You could do dumbbells. You could do Arnold presses. There are so many variations. Sometimes I will list the variation that I'm recommending for you based on your goals or maybe some injuries or whatever you're working on. Sometimes I list shoulder press variation. Now, sometimes I'll be specific. Let's say I say dumbbell shoulder press, and I don't say, standing up or sitting down or one arm at a time or anything like that. So that's going to pretty much assume that you're going to sit somewhere and do a shoulder press. Now, let's say you send me some videos and I see some technique breakdown. I might make some different recommendations, like not using a back or adjusting the incline or something like that. Now, when it comes time for a training update, and let's say you're about 6 months into training with me, and you have like a couple variations that you need to list or that you need to adjust, or maybe your gym is super busy and you're like, oh my gosh, I always need these dumbbells and they're never available. What I want you to know, and I want you to know this early on too, I just mainly want to stress it, especially after you've been training for a little bit, is that your training program is a template. It's meant for you to have a program that you go into the gym and that you do. And the reason why I don't change the exercises up a lot is because I want your body to be able to gain progress within that arena. So if you were to take shoulder presses and put them in the third exercise, and you start with doing upright rows or lateral raises, or maybe you even start with chest press that day, you're going to notice a big difference because your body's going to be fatigued. So I wouldn't want that order changing around a lot. But what you can do is, let's say you have a really hard time getting dumbbells every time you go to the gym, but sometimes the either the shoulder press machine or maybe the military press bar is available. You could easily work that shoulder press into your program, but just make sure you note in your notebook that you didn't just do a dumbbell shoulder press. So you'll start to have what we call PR, your personal best, PB, or personal record on file. So as you train, I mean, now I can look back and I have a rough PR on dumbbell shoulder press when I do it at the beginning, when I do it at the end, when I do it in the middle, if I hold neutral grip, if I hold, forward grip, whatever it is. I have all these little changes. I kind of know when that is a personal best for me. Different machines at different gyms. A lot of times I'll train at all different gyms, or I might go home to Georgia and train, and I'm still following the same general program, but obviously I'm not using the same equipment. I'm in a different environment. And so inside my training log, I always write what gym I'm at, what time I'm training at the time of day, because I'll have a different PR if I train at 5 in the morning than if I train at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or if I train at like 7 o'clock at night. I'm not really strong when I train at night. Now, that doesn't mean I'll never train at night. It just means that I need to take all that stuff into consideration. And so as you're giving feedback on your training programs, as you're getting feedback for yourself on your training programs, there's a lot of things that are changing and kind of worth noting, I guess, that I want to say. I did make a list before I started this video, but all those different variables, you know, your sleep, your hunger, if you're in a deficit or if you're not in a deficit, that's kind of, I have like these body weight PRs, like when I'm at this body weight, this was the best that I did, or, you know, when I've been under this amount of stress, that was the best that I had done at that time, when the last time I did that exercise order. Like there's all these crazy things that I just have memories in my head or written in my book that I can go back and see how I'm progressing. So progress is never going to be linear. It's never going to be like right in a straight line, that unless you're a robot, which none of us are. So always make sure that when you're gathering that information, when you're making your training updates, if your gym is crazy busy, if your schedule makes it difficult to, you know, have a lot of exercises and you're like, you know, I really want to add volume on a particular day, let's talk to me about that, because we can just move your training around a little bit so that you hit that body part or whatever it is on a day that you have a little bit more time. That's really common with legs because rest times need to be a little bit more in legs. You're obviously cardiovascularly going to wear yourself out more doing squats than you would doing bicep curls. So there's a lot of things that we can kind of move around, that if your gym is really busy or if you have time constraints, that we can try to manipulate so that you're hitting those body parts, or you're, you know, doing that exercise session in a way that's the least amount of stressful for you mentally, that's the most enjoyable for you. And then secondly, as you're making those variations, never feel like you have to be like bound and like sit there and just wait because somebody's on the leg press. Like you're like, all right, I'm just gonna sit here and wait. No, just choose something else. Choose another type of hip extension movement, that's, you know, a combination of knee bend and hip bend in place of your in place of your leg press, like a goblet squat or a sumo squat or a dumbbell squat where it's hanging by your side, or step ups if maybe you're doing single leg. You can just kind of have those exercises in the back of your head. So think about it, guys. It's all about the range of motion. So whenever I'm setting up an exercise order, it's really good for you if you look at the structure, kind of the skeleton of the training program, and try to determine why things are set up like that. If you can't determine it on your own, please let me know. I would love to teach you that. Not in a combative, like, well, wouldn't this be better kind of way, because there's a million ways to do it. It's really just about sticking to something long enough to see progress. And then as you begin to kind of plateau out, or you're not making those newbie gains anymore, you're not making those strength progressions like you're used to, then we begin to manipulate like tiny little details to kind of get you over that hump. Specifically like in upper body training, or when someone's really working on their low rep squats. There's a lot of fear involved in our minds when we begin to get into those heavier loads. But that's where the progress occurs. Training is such a vastly important part of physique transformation that if you're interested in changing what your body looks like, which most of you are, that's why you came to me, you need to put this extra emphasis on training, how you approach it, how you like mentally approach it, how you understand your training program, and how you gather feedback from yourself, but then how you actually give it to me, so that whenever you're looking at something, you're feeling motivated, you're feeling, you know, like you've accomplished something. It's really important. And because if you're going in the gym and you're like, well, I'm not really making that much progress, I mean, I only like went up by 5 pounds this week, and you look at that as being negative. If you were to tell me that, I'd be like, oh my gosh, you went up by 5 pounds? That's crazy. Because on most lifts, that is a good percentage of increase, not to mention multiplied over the reps and over the sets and then over the weeks that you might be at that new higher weight. That is a really, really big deal. And so I think if your perspective changed a little bit, and I think if you knew what to expect and what to celebrate and what not to celebrate, you guys would feel a lot better about your progress, because many times you guys are giving me feedback and I'm like, this is awesome, this chick is getting so strong, but you're not proud of it. You don't think that it's good. And I don't know what you're really comparing yourselves to, but it's really important that you vocalize that, and maybe even talk amongst yourselves about how you feel about that, because you're not the only one experiencing this, but I think sometimes that my voice can be muted because you might view me as like your cheerleader, which I'm not. I'm here to make you better. So if you guys have any questions about training, about what kind of feedback to look for or to give, if you haven't seen the update training document, feedback document that I send out, let me know. I can also load it in this group. Yeah, we'll just go from there. So let me know if you have any questions.